Hey guys, so today's video is one of my absolute favorite videos to film, and that would be an overview of all the makeup products that I have used up this year. I will be taking you through category by category, giving you quick summed up thoughts of what I thought of the items and whether I would repurchase them or not. But if you want more in-depth detailed reviews, please make sure you check out my Project Use It Up 2017 playlist. I'll have that linked up here, and in those videos you will get more details on these products. As of the time that I'm filming this, I have not calculated how much everything cost, but I will have the amount of items that I've used up plus the value for them on the screen right now. Also in the description box, I will list all the items and have the prices I allotted for them. For the deluxe size samples, some of them I did have to guesstimate how much they were worth, so it might not be exact, but I'm really happy with everything that I was able to finish. It is so fun to really look at all these products. It makes you feel super accomplished. So just getting started with primers, I finished up 6 face primers this year. I finished 2 Illuminating deluxe size sample face primers, the CoverFx Illuminating Primer and the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. These are very similar. The CoverFx feels more like a moisturizer and doesn't really give too much glow. The Becca gives more glow, and I think it held up pretty well against my oily skin. So if I was gonna get one of these, I would get the Becca. I finished a deluxe size sample of the CoverFx Mattifying Primer. I don't think it kept me particularly matte, but I love the way that it made my skin feel, and it is something that I would consider purchasing in the future. And then I have 3 pore minimizing primers, 2 deluxe size samples, and 1 travel size. I have the Benefit Porefessional, the MakeUpForEver Step 1 Smoothing Primer, and the Smashbox Photo Finish Pore Minimizing Primer. Out of the 3 of these, the Benefit is my least favorite and the Smashbox is my most favorite. So out of all of these, I would repurchase the Smashbox. For foundation, I was able to finish up 5. The first is this deluxe size sample that did take me quite a while to use up, and this is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation in the shade 1 in 2 Vanille. This does give amazing coverage. I really love this foundation, but it isn't perfect and it is quite expensive, so I don't think this is something I would purchase in the future. I finished 2 of the Hard Candy Glamoflague foundation, 1 in the shade Porcelain and 1 in the shade Fair. I absolutely love this foundation as a mixer, and I also liked it on its own. The shade Fair is too dark and too pink for me, so I don't know if I repurchase the Fair shade, although this is one of the best drugstore foundations I've ever used, but I would definitely continue to repurchase Porcelain for my foundation mixer. Then I finished up the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation in the shade 1W 1 Bone, medium buildable coverage, a nice satin finish, my #1 Holy Grail foundation, and I have already repurchased. Then I finished the Kat Von D Lock-It Tattoo Foundation in the shade Light 45. It gives amazing coverage, but it can look pretty heavy and cakey on the skin, but I did find a way to make this work for me, so I would repurchase this, but in my correct shade Light 43. For concealers, I finished 4. I have the NYX HD Concealer in the shade Fair. This does give really nice medium coverage. It has a natural finish, but this oxidizes on me and it is too peachy and I'm not able to find my perfect match, so I would not repurchase this. I finished the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer in the shade Light Neutral. I really love the color of this. I really enjoy the flat doe foot paddle applicator as well, but when I went to blend it out, I felt like this always looked patchy on my skin, and for that reason I would not repurchase it. I finished the Lorac Porefection Concealer in the shade PC2 Light, which was very yellow. I used this as an under eye corrector. I put it into this little empty lip gloss wand that has a doe foot applicator to make it easier to apply. This was a nice concealer, but I don't really need a corrector. And my last concealer is the reason why I only finished 4 this year. I finished up the Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Fair. You guys know you get a ton of product in this. This is an amazing concealer. It was in my 2017 favorites, and I already have repurchased it. For powder, including face powder and under eye setting powder, I used up 15 this year, which I know is a ton, but you guys know that I also blow through powder. So starting with the ones that I have for the under eye, I finished up the e.l.f. HD Under Eye Setting Powder. I thought this was absolutely incredible for a drugstore under eye powder, and I will repurchase it. And I also finished a little deluxe sample size of the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. This is totally worth the hype. It is an amazing loose powder to set my very oily under eyes. I think the e.l.f. is a nice alternative, but it isn't as good as the Laura Mercier, but I would repurchase both of these. This probably has to be my greatest accomplishment. I finished up the Nye Cameo Powder. It took me absolutely ages. This will take you forever to go through, so I recommend getting this small container. This is a fair powder with a pinky undertone. It does give some nice coverage. It helps mattify. Towards the end of this use, I had some trouble with it looking kind of cakey under my eyes, so I don't think I would repurchase it at this time, but who knows, maybe I'll go back to it in the future, but it is a really nice product. Then I finished 3 of the Wet n Wild Mattifying Powder, and this is a dupe of the NARS Translucent Crystal Light Reflecting Setting Powder Pressed. Used to be my holy grail, but I decided I don't really love it anymore. I prefer using loose under eye setting powders instead of pressed, and I will not repurchase it, but these hardly have any product in them. The pan is really shallow, which is why I was able to get through so many. And then I had one more powder I was using to set my under eyes. This is the NYX HD Finishing Powder in Translucent. This is definitely the best pressed powder I've used to set my under eyes. So if you prefer a more pressed version, I would recommend this one. But in general, as I said, I do prefer using the loose powders. I finished 2 loose powders for setting my entire face. This first powder is from Pixi. It is their Quick Fix powder in the translucent shade. You only get 3 grams of product in here. It's not a ton. It has this little sponge on the top, which I didn't use it that way. I knew I would hate this, so I just twisted off the bottom and used it with a brush. This was a pretty decent translucent loose powder, but you will blow through it so quickly because this is a small container, so it's not something I would repurchase. Then my other greatest accomplishment of this year is that I finished the RCMA No Color Powder. This took forever. People are obsessed with this. I'm not. It does nothing for my oily skin. Also, when I try to use this to bake or set my under eyes, I get a ton of caking, a ton of flashback. This really makes my face look whiter overall, even though it says it's supposed to be no color. I do not like this at all, and it's definitely not something I'd repurchase. And then I have quite a few powders that do have some color and coverage. The first is the Milani Multitasker Powder in the shade number 2 Light Medium. This is a little bit too dark for me, and it doesn't keep me the most matte, so it is not something I would repurchase. Then I finished my NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat Powder in the shade number 2 Nude. The shade number 1 Ivory fits me better, but I like having number 2 Nude on hand in case my foundation combination gets a little too light. I can go over top with a light dusting of this powder and it's perfect, but this does give really nice color coverage and keep me matte. I finished 3 of the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Powder in 100 Translucent. It is not translucent, it's fair with a yellow undertone. This gives great color coverage and mattifies me. The Maybelline and the NYX are my holy grail powders. The Maybelline is almost half the price of this one, and my perfect shade Ivory in the NYX powder is only available online, so that's why I've been tending to go for the Maybelline more, but I think they both work equally well. My last powder is my holy grail for touch-up. This is the Rimmel Stay Matte in the transparent shade. It does a great job of soaking up all the oil on my skin without making me look cakey, and it keeps me matte for a long time, so I will absolutely repurchase this. And then I have some random cheek products that I finished this year. This is a deluxe size sample of the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Sheer Sun Serum Bronzer. So this is a liquid bronzer. It has a really nice warm undertone. It is a light shade. Absolutely love this in the summer, and I already repurchased this. I finished the Revlon Photo Ready Bronzer in Bronze and Chic. This was a matte bronzer with 4 different tones in it. Unfortunately, it was discontinued. I finished up the top 2 shades and the bottom 2 broke, so I will just be counting this for half of what it's worth since I only used up half of it. Next, I have a product from Pixi. I accidentally just broke it, and this is the Beauty Blush Duo in the shade Rose Gold. You had half of a rose gold highlight, and then you did have this pinky blush. I did completely use up a highlighter in a project pan this year. I absolutely love the color. It was a rose gold shade that was actually light enough for my fair skin. I do not like the blush, and this is just a mini size, but I actually would repurchase it because I love the highlight so much. And then I have 3 facial sprays that I used up. The first would be 2 from Skindinavia. I have the Makeup Primer Spray in the oil control version and the Makeup Finishing Spray in the oil control version. I did think these were nice. These are definitely some of the best setting sprays that I've ever tried, but as I've told you guys before, I don't feel setting sprays do anything for me, so I would not repurchase them. And then I finished up this deluxe sample of the Coola Makeup Setting Spray with green tea and aloe. This did a great job of having a very fine mist. It set really quickly. I really love the way it felt on my skin, but this has a really, really terrible scent, and for that reason, I would not repurchase it, and I believe it's quite pricey. Moving on to brow products, I have 10. I have 2 brow priming products. I finished a deluxe sample size of the Benefit Brow Vogue Conditioning Brow Primer. I don't feel that this really did much for me, so it's not something I'd repurchase. I finished my NYX Eyebrow Shaper Wax Pencil. I usually go through one of these a year. This is holy grail to me. It is perfect if you like to use a brow powder because it will help the powder stick to your brow hairs and to skin. I have already repurchased this. For brow pencils, I only have 3, and I'm really surprised by that because I usually have a lot more, but I think that's because I did use some pomades this year, and I used my Benefit Goof Proof Eyebrow Pencil, which lasted me all year long. So I think that's the big reason, but I guess it's good. That means I'm saving a little bit of money, but it's kind of disappointing for this video. So I finished up this little deluxe sample size of the Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Chocolate. The shade is too dark for me. The shade Taupe works better. This is a really nice formula brow pencil, but it's just too pricey, so I would not repurchase it because I'm so in love with the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. I use the shade Taupe. This for me works just as well as the Anastasia. This is holy grail to me, and I will always continue to repurchase this. I finished the Maybelline Define Brow in the shade Dark Blonde. They recently changed the packaging in the formula, and it is not as good as it used to be, so this is not something I'd repurchase. For brow pomades, I actually finished 2. I finished this deluxe sample size of the Benefit Ka-Brow in the shade number 1. You can see what the color looks like here, and because of the packaging I couldn't get out everything, but I did completely clear out as much as I could. This is the lightest brow pomade I've ever seen. I really did enjoy this formula. It was a really nice thin consistency, but it gave great pigment. This is something that I think I actually would repurchase if I'd be able to get this on sale. This was an amazing brow pomade. And then I finished the Milani Stay Put Brow Color in the shade number 2, Natural Taupe. There is just a tiny bit of this left that is stuck around the edges, but it is so completely dried out and nasty. I worked on this so hard. It is a really nice formula, but it definitely is a little bit thicker, and I think that the Benefit formula is much better, and when you can see the shades compared to each other, this shade matches me so much better. So this is not something I would repurchase because I do prefer this Benefit. And then I have 3 brow gels that I finished. I finished this little deluxe sample size of the Benefit Gimme Brow in the shade Light Medium. I think this is a nice product. It really added some nice thickness to my brows, and because the shade is a little bit lighter, it made my brows look more natural. But this is not something I would repurchase because I do have another tinted brow gel that I prefer. I also finished this year the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Mascara in the shade Blonder Over Yonder. This is a nice tinted brow gel, but I prefer the NYX tinted brow gel over both of those, so I will purchase that one instead of these. And then I did finish a clear brow gel. This is the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel in the full size. This is absolutely incredible, like hairspray for your brows, and I already have a couple backups, luckily. For eye primer this year, I was able to finish up 2. I finished a deluxe sample size of the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion Original. I think that this does a really fantastic job, and this is something that I would love to get another little sample size of, but I do love the Milani eyeshadow primer, and it is much cheaper. I also finished the Jessie's Girl eyeshadow primer. This is just a little bit too oily for my oily lids. If you have more dry lids, you might really enjoy this, but it wasn't the perfect product for me, so I would not repurchase. For eyeshadow products, I have 5. The first is really exciting. This is the first shadow stick that I finished up. This is a deluxe sample of the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick in the shade Rose Gold. This is a stunning color. I actually dug it out completely and used it up, and this is something that I will repurchase because I loved the formula and this shade. Next, I finished up 2 of Wet n Wild Brulee, which is an amazing matte cream that is my favorite product to set my eyeshadow primer. So I finished it in this little single, and then I also finished it in the Wet n Wild Vanity palette. Right now, I'm trying to use up or hit pan on the other cream shadows in my collection, but I definitely would love to repurchase this to have a single on hand for travel and other things. And then I finished 2 colored single shadows. This is the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Amaze. It's a metallic finish, a beautiful rose gold. I have a ton of rose golds from ColourPop, but this one is my favorite. So after I finish a few more of those, I will repurchase this one. And then I finished the Milani Bella Eyes eyeshadow in the shade Bella Cappuccino. This is a really great neutral undertone tan that I love for a transition shade, but I think I have other things that I prefer over this now, so I probably would not repurchase this. I used up 5 liquid liners this year. I have 2 deluxe sample sizes from Kat Von D. So this first one is the ink liner in the shade Trooper, which is their felt tip liner. I really did enjoy this, but as with most felt tip liners, I found that it dried out pretty quickly. And then I also have the tattoo liner in Trooper, which is the brush dip applicator. I think this is incredible. It's a wonderful matte black, super pigmented. I don't think I'd repurchase it because I have a great drugstore dupe, but this is something I would love to get another mini of. And the wonderful drugstore dupe of that, I believe, is the Physicians Formula Eye Booster Liquid Liner in the shade Ultra Black. This also has a brush tip applicator, an amazing liner lasting me a really long time, and I have already repurchased it. And then I also finished the Jessie's Girl liquid liner, which is waterproof. It is similar to Physicians Formula, and I really like the way that it works on the eye, but towards the end of its life, the bristles really started to fray out, and I had to try to shape them every time I applied it. And even though this is cheaper than the Physicians Formula, because of that factor, I would purchase Physicians Formula over this one. And then I have the Maybelline Master Precise liquid liner, which is a felt tip applicator. I love this shape, but this dried up way too quickly, so I would not repurchase this one. For mascara, I was able to finish up 11, 3 full size and 8 deluxe sample sizes. I finished the Lancome Monsieur Big Mascara. It did not do much for me, and it could be because of the sample that I have. This is actually just like a free sample with an order. It isn't actually a little mini of it, so I would love to try this one again because people really, really enjoy it, but from what I tried here, I wasn't in love, so I wouldn't repurchase. I finished the Sephora Lash Craft Length and Volume Mascara. This has a really interesting brush. This did absolutely nothing for my lashes, so I would not repurchase. I finished the MakeUpForEver Smoky Extravagant Mascara. I hate the shape of this brush. It is way too big for my eye, and also the bristles are very spaced out, and I feel like it does absolutely nothing for my lashes, so I would not repurchase it. I finished a sample of the MAC False Lash Extreme Black Mascara. This is the most basic wand. There is barely any separation between the bristles, so I was barely able to get through my lashes. This did absolutely nothing for me, and I would not repurchase it. I finished the Clinique Lash Power Feathering Mascara. This is a really fluffy brush, but I don't feel like it was able to get through my lashes and do much for them, so I would not repurchase it. I finished the Benefit They're Real Mascara. This does give some really nice length and separation, but overall, I do prefer natural bristle brushes over plastic bristle brushes, so this is not something I'd repurchase. Next, I finished the Urban Decay Perversion Mascara. This is one of my holy grail high-end mascaras. It gives amazing volume and really black lashes. The only negative is that this does smudge pretty badly under my eyes. I finished the Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara. It is a natural bristle brush with this wonderful hourglass shape. This also gives some really nice volume to my lashes, but it also smudges really badly under my eyes, so it's not something I repurchase. I love using the Urban Decay and Too Faced together to give really long, full, fluttery lashes, but they smudge so terribly under my eye, I can't use these together anymore. Then I have my 3 full-size mascaras. Then for my full-size mascaras, I finished the Maybelline Colossal Cat Eyes. I love the shape of this brush because it gives some nice curl, it lifts my lashes, and gives a really nice length. Holy grail, definitely will repurchase. And I love combining the Maybelline Colossal Cat Eyes with the Maybelline Falsies Original Mascara. This gives some really nice volume and a fanned out, fluttery look. Holy grail, definitely will repurchase, and I really, as I said, love using those two together. And then I used up the Pure Cosmetics Fully Charged Mascara. I had gotten a deluxe sample size of this and fell in love. And unfortunately, this is one of those mascaras where the deluxe sample size is much better than the full size. So for that reason, I would not repurchase it. It did give some volume, but I like the look of my lashes with those Maybelline mascaras better. So out of all of those, I really just buy the Maybelline. For my lip products, starting with lip care, which includes lip scrubs and lip balms, I finished 13. I finished 2 of the e.l.f. Lip Exfoliator. I finished 1 in the original brown sugar formula, and then I finished another in the newer mint formula. If you guys have tried these out, the original is much grittier than these different scented versions, so I would not repurchase the original, but I will definitely continue to repurchase the mint. I think this is an amazing lip exfoliator, and I really love the fact that it is in a stick form. Super easy to use, so I will definitely repurchase the mint. This year I finished 7 of my EOS Smooth Stick in Sweet Mint. I love taking these on the go with me in my purse and in my pocket. These are my favorite lip balm because they have a really nice formula, not too thin or too thick, and I really love this scent, and I will continue to repurchase these Holy Grail lip products forever and ever. You can see I used one about every 2 months. And then I finished 2 of the EOS Smooth Spheres. I like to keep these around the house to put on, and I feel like the formula is the same. So I finished 1 of the Sweet Mint and then 1 of the Vanilla Mint. The ones with the swirls are supposed to be more moisturizing. I don't really find that to be true. I feel like they have the same formula, just different scents, and I would repurchase both of these. And then I have 2 random lip balm type products. This is the C.O. Bigelow Mentha Lip Shine, the Ultra version. It's a really nice scent. It feels really smoothing on the lips, but as it starts to wear away, it's a tiny bit sticky. So for that reason, I would not repurchase it. And then I have the Yes to Coconuts Cooling Lip Oil. It was nice and cooling, and it was really thin, but I don't feel like it actually moisturized my lips. So for that reason, I would not repurchase it, but you do get a ton of product for your money. And then for colored lip products, I only finished 4. I'm a little bit disappointed with what I finished this year, but I did have a lot of products expire on me that I was planning to pan this year, which you guys can see in my chopping block series, which I will have linked up here. Hopefully in 2018, I will have more colored lip products used up. The first thing is the NYX Wonder Pencil in the shade Light. I use this as a reverse lip liner to clean up around my lip line. It was really fantastic for that, but I don't think I need to repurchase this product just for that. Then I finished up the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in the shade Aquarius. This is my all-time favorite nude. I love the formula of the ColourPop lip liners because they're nice and creamy, but they do not bleed or feather on me, and I have already repurchased this. I finished a little mini of the Sephora Rouge Brilliance Shine lipstick in the shade number 14, which is either Love Letter or Love Spell. It's a really pretty blue tone pink, but I hated this formula. It was super duper thin, and it left my lips feeling really dried out whenever I would apply this, so absolutely not. I would not repurchase this. And then I finished this mini of the Pixi Lip Lift Max in the shade Sheer Rose, which is supposed to be a bit of a plumping gloss. It doesn't really feel plumping, but it makes my lips look really shiny and juicy, and I love this sheer tint of a mauve color, and this is something that I actually would repurchase because I loved it that much. So guys, this was my very long video featuring all the products that I finished up in 2017. I love looking back on these videos because it feels like such an accomplishment. If you guys film one of these videos on your channel, please let me know in the comments down below so I can check it out. And if you guys don't film videos, I would love to know in the comments, what is the item that you felt the most proud of that you finished this year? Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.